Welcome to Alpha Wolf Capital. I'm Tim, and I want to personally thank you for stopping by. This channel is designed to help small companies, both public and private, gain exposure with potential consumers, investors, even partners. Take, for example, today's guest, Allan Evans, CEO of Unusual Machines. Unusual Machines' core business is specializing in the production and sale of small drones and essential components. They are a leader in FPV drones. They have a growth strategy, organic growth through their retail business, and leverage the retail business to onshore production of critical drone components. Focus on component sales to defense partners for FPV drones in the US and Europe. UMAC has come on strong as a US made component supplier and a first mover in the drone industry here in the US. But I'm going to let Allan tell you more about that in just a moment. This is not to be taken as investment advice. I am not a certified financial planner. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. I encourage everyone to do their own due diligence. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you from the H.C. Wainwright Conference.
At the
Actually,
La Palace Hotel.
I'm at my house. But Allan is at and I don't know, man. The suit is looking good, man. You clean up well.
Thank you. We figure this is a valid actual look for me. It's not AI. The background's real, and it's a real event. So I figure we just throw everybody a curveball and treat them like they're an investor here at the show. I haven't even done my first meeting yet, so this is my first meeting. Everybody gets to be part of it. You get to ask the same questions the guys who move money ask at the same time, and I'm just going to answer them the same way.
So let's talk about all that is happening and the money that is moving, right? I mean, some interesting announcements with you and Ondas, who is just out of nowhere, but Eric is a capital markets guy, the CEO over at Ondas. I was supposed to actually interview him this last week, and I saw the news release hit, and I knew that interview's not happening because he was putting out fires, right? So, I mean, this is exciting stuff. And I think it's interesting what you've done and what you and him are doing together. You want to expand upon that a little bit?
Sure. If you look, we did the investment in Safe Pro collaboratively, and we announced sort of a drone treasury strategy, and they announced 150 million they were going to pour toward drone stuff. And so when you look, I think where Eric sits as a capital markets guy, and then where we sit as a parts vendor, if you look at Aerobotics, they're way on the other end from where we're at. So there's not structural conflict between us, but we come at it from one angle, they come at it from another angle. And so us collaborating on lifting up maybe some of the underseen companies that we believe in helps us move this whole industry forward. So let's just take Safe Pro Group, for instance. If we want to push sort of the American drone industry, Safe Pro Group's doing landmine removal, that's more parts that go into the American drone industry, more drone usage, more purchases in Europe or elsewhere as they try to get rid of the landmines in Ukraine, whether there's war or peace. And so right now we're in a unique phase in the American drone industry where there's a few hundred companies between hardware and software and everything. And I initially was talking to you about when I expected consolidation to occur. I expected it to start this November. And Eric really made the first move to start the process a little bit earlier. But since we're consolidating to different segments or participating in different segments, it's much easier for us to work together as this winnowing begins to occur. And really, start to help with uplift in places where we believe we're going to make some money. And between the two of us, we have pretty good double checks, and I think, uh, pretty good insight where I think we're going to get pretty good multiples versus other folks. So it's been good working with him. He's a real smart guy. He's a collaborator, and so am I. So, this is definitely rising tide lifts all boats, and we just want, we're in a place to help with the tide.
Right.
So if you can bring the moon a little closer to the earth and the tide goes up, it's good for everybody.
Right. Rising tide lifts all boats, right? I mean, it's funny because I also interviewed Volatis yesterday, and talking to Volatis, and we were talking about just the capital markets and where they're at, and I strongly hinted that if he has the ability that he should uplist to the senior exchange, and because I think, and I think you and I agree on this, that the next couple of years for the drone industry are probably going to be the critical years. Would you agree with that?
1,000,000%. So you have an open marketplace. You have, I think, the snowball starting a little bit sooner than I thought. You have the government money coming a little bit later. Like we still really haven't seen the end of the year money contracts hit. Like I hear about them all. We know they're coming, but they're maybe 2 or 3 weeks delayed from my expectation. And you have 200 or 300 companies in the segment where really it's going to collapse down to 3 to 5. And that's a function of people getting together and really money, and equity value and liquidity and everything else. And I think if you're not participating in that marketplace in the next 3 to 5 years, you very high probability of being left behind. So,
Right.
like, I think if Glenn and Volatis, which I'm a big fan of, Glenn's a great guy. If they move to a senior exchange, I think they have a chance for the awareness and everything else to put them in a stronger position. But I think what they're doing is, obviously impressive enough that I think there's a very good chance they'll be part of consolidation one way or the other. Right. I think
Yeah.
somebody would go look at everything they're doing and be like, all right, we'll pick this up. And so really from my perspective, if he's able to do it, he may end up being a bigger part of the end story. But
Yeah.
I think he's going to be part of the end anyway, because they do really good work.
Yeah. And he's got a very I love Glenn. I love everything about him. He's the way he treats his employees. They've done 19 acquisitions, and the capital markets certainly did not help him. Uh,
I
it's
think they did. He's just on the wrong exchange. Like
well,
his same approach, if he was on the NASDAQ, they'd be on fire. It'd be him and Eric doing deals instead of me and Eric.
he's a smart guy. I mean, he's
He's
a
a
very,
smart
very
guy.
smart guy, and he works hard. And I don't know I know that this guy is working in the middle of the night on compute. I mean, he's really an in-depth guy, and I just think I thought it was so cool that when you guys announced your thing, I thought, man, that's what we need. We need the industry to work together. I mean, not everybody's going to work together. I understand that, but we need some of the key players to work together, right?
Yeah, I mean, why we all collaborate is we look at it and we say, hey, look, the Chinese companies are so far ahead. If we start fighting now, we'll never get there. And so when you remember what you're really trying to do, which is in our case, build a globally competitive ecosystem rather than something that's just like a moment at time, it makes it a lot easier to go back and be like, yeah, we should probably play nice and not be redundant or do anything else, right? Like, let's figure this out real quick. Why? Well, we sort of owe it to, in a lot of ways, the American people for supporting legislation that's created some of the drone restrictions that even allow the market to exist in the first place. And so we do take that pretty seriously, where we're like, all right, you know, we got to get there. And because people gave us an opportunity to get there and not stop and think that we're special or unique or anything. Because, the second stuff like tariffs go away or the regulations that kick out Chinese drones, like we all get smoked again. So we still have to cross that gap. And the fastest way to do it is collaboratively.
So you see, you put out an ATM, and that probably has some people freaked out, right? You want to
Probably.
you want to touch on that a little bit as to why?
Sure. And I'm just going to assume some people don't know what an ATM is,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
right?
Yep.
And so an ATM just says the company can sell stock into the free trading market. It's not the sale of stock. It's not anything else. Where otherwise you have to do like an offering, which is where you see the big chunk of money sell to private investors at a discount. That's what most of the guys here are looking for. They're looking for that discount. They're looking to come hunt. And we put that ATM out there. And we've always said we plan on staircasing our financing. So we haven't sold any more shares. We did our last round at 970. We're trading around that right now. We're not interested in selling more shares till we can staircase this for the longs. Like we have a ton of money, our burn's really low. So we've set it up so that we don't need it. We just wanted to broadcast to everyone that no matter how well this goes now, if we're going to continue to staircase at a substantially higher price, there's not going to be the surprise drop. It'll just be in the open markets at a 2% discount to market or whatever it is to sort of take away the financing fear. And, again, I'm in my 40s, right? My early 40s. I can't say, hey, we don't expect to raise money below this and then have it show up on the next quarterly report because it shows up on every quarterly report. Like, credibility is like a piece of paper. Once you light it on fire, you can't get it back.
Right.
And so really we're set up to do that. We expect some really good news, which should also be an indicator of that. Like you don't put something like this in place to say, hey, we're not going to go after institutional money and give them the sweetener they want. We believe that we are going to be able to staircase this just in the public markets. Like, what do we have to be internally expecting to say that? And in this case, that's an accessible vehicle for about the next 2.5 years. And so now for the next 2.5 years, people like don't really have to be concerned about every time something good happens, us, continuing to do what's necessary, which is bringing capital, scale this thing because of consolidation, et cetera, but in a way that can be disruptive to what is like the swing trade or the retail investor. So
Right.
I think when you look, and it also opens up a few real weird tools for us. Like one of the things we were discussing, and we have no idea around any of this, so nobody take this as a leading indicator. But the Safe Pro Group stock. Like as an operating company, we can only hold so much of our asset value in non-cash or government bonds. And so what if we really believe where Safe Pro's going? They shoot up, we hit that 40% limit. Okay, instead of selling it, can we dividend it out now? And if we can dividend it out, then we can use the ATM to recover the cash so we don't jeopardize our balance sheet. So it also opens up some really interesting optionality for us on the investment drone thesis side, where we, instead of getting jammed up and having to go do something that could work against the intent of our investment thesis, there's now some other possibilities there that, we're not in the space that we're considering yet, but we're setting up the tools so that we can consider them if and when the time comes.
Right. And I think that's just a smart move, right? I mean, that's good housekeeping.
Yeah, that's what everybody like at this conference would call an ATM, good housekeeping, because it's not a raise or anything. So that phrase is sort of industry jargon for sure. And I understand that there's a lot of nervousness because people like look at the number, which is, our entire market cap, and they're like, that's absurd. Tim, it is absurd. But if we expect a market cap of, with a B behind it, then it's not absurd. And
Right.
if it's going to be for 2.5 years, like, why shouldn't you plan for success? I mean, I think we've done that all the way along because you don't want to get trapped in right now thinking if you're in a growth market, you want to be ready for right after rise.
Absolutely. I mean, why not think big? Why would you want to think small? Right. I mean,
yeah,
this is I don't think anybody really understands. I mean, I don't think I even really understand how fast and hard this thing is going to go.
Yeah. I have a new analogy for the marketplace.
Yeah. What is
Just came to me. The drone market just had a whole forest fire come through and destroy everything. And now you see a whole bunch of small trees and they're trying to grow. And it doesn't matter how fast you grow. It matters if you grow faster than your competitors because only the tallest trees end up standing at the ends. And so when you look at what we're trying to do, it doesn't matter if we're growing. It doesn't matter what we're doing. It matters that we plan on being one of the tallest trees.
Right.
And so you're seeing all these small trees, after the fire, and now you're placing bets not on what tree's going to grow. They're all going to grow. There's just a forest fire. It's awesome. But there's like 300 of them, and there's only going to be 20 that are going to grab all the sunlight because they get up faster.
Yep.
And so we're not in a race to grow. We're in a race to be one of the 20. And that's sort of where all our planning, all our structure, all our everything, where we lean into. And that's really where the big winners in this marketplace are going to be, are those trees at the very end. Now, people can make money on a whole lot of the trees right now because they are all going to grow. But, the real winners are going to be the ones you think are there at the end that blot out the sun for everyone else.
The ones that are going to have a challenge are the ones that are going to be capital constrained. That's who's going to have a problem, right?
Correct. Because it limits growth. It limits growth through acquisition. It limits growth through organic scaling. It also limits growth through teammates. Like, I can tell you, we've announced a lot of new VPs have joined. This guy should never work at a company I'm in charge of. I mean, a guy from Google who built the stuff for Magic Leap, a VP at a major retail chain, CEO of a drone company who's coming to join as a VP. No. These guys are way out of the league as employees that would work for me. Now, I really appreciate it. It's awesome. And they come in and they make everybody better. And we got great internal teams, people that are coming up and crushing it. And we just announced like our VP of sales came in. He came in from a giant European telco. He was the first guy selling SIM cards to drone companies. Like, what? Right? Like, no.
Which is all critical, right? I mean, that's critical.
It is. And like really coming in and everybody getting along is how it works. But the momentum feeds itself and the gravity builds faster. And so, if we're not super aware and continue to build that gravity and understand that it's not how fast we're growing, it's can we be one of the tall trees? But then everything you see us do is designed for that. Not for how much we grow today, not for, because the environmental, like the marketplace is like the weather, right? Is it raining? Is it cloudy? That affects all the trees. Right. And so we're not here to fight the weather. We're here to be a tall tree.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. I had an interesting conversation with Glenn yesterday. It was supposed to be a 1 hour interview. Of course, we talked for 2 hours before we got on for the interview. But one of the things that I talked to him about was because I am myself am just experiencing more and more of this, but AI as a tool to assist you with the path of your company. I mean, I talk to AI literally it's my best friend now. Every day.
Well, it doesn't talk back. So, I mean, it makes sense. AI is great. Always polite. It doesn't get hangry. I don't even need to know if it's right or not. I appreciate what it says.
It's a critical thinker. I mean, if you're not asking, you can ask AI how AI can help you. And here's my world. How can AI help me? And if you're not doing that, I don't know, man. I think you're going to get ran over.
So I think it is a really good sounding board. And where I personally use it quite a bit is it lets me get to drafts of communication much faster. Right. I go in and rewrite it and everything, but it'll give me a framework, for like a team letter or whatever else. It makes sure you cover everything. But again, we joke, we call the AI like the interns. It's like having a million interns. And I think having a conversation with an intern can sometimes be really interesting. They bring stuff you'd never think of. Yeah. But it's still a million interns for, I'd say, critical thinking and development.
Yeah, you can't take whatever it said. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to do this. You got to tweak it, right? I mean, but it sure helps with cutting down on the time effort. To me, it just streamlines things really well. It makes you kind of focus on the critical things, I think.
It does. And you don't waste cognitive cycles on repetition, right? Like, I don't have to think about what an outline for a letter would be. There's a really good outline. And then with a few more conversations back and forth, they give me an outline for the exact letter I want to write. And then I can go in and put in my own data, my own thoughts, my own critical thinking. But I didn't waste all the brain power on the construction of it. Or, we just did some quick video edit clips using AI. And like 15 minutes in, there's 90% of the video you want, right? And it's the theme and everything else. And now you can go do the last chunk of polish. So when you look at a lot of what we do, the time efficiency of the people doing it gets better, and their skill sets get to be used for really the most powerful things that they do, the critical thinking, the real artistry, the narrative flow, the kind of all the parts that are where people generate the most value. So in that way, I think from our end, it's sort of incorporated. Now we do a lot of physical goods. Like we're not going to have an AI tell us how to wind a motor, right? It'll come up with some crazy ideas. And so
Right.
there's some a lot of times ancillary reasons to do things a specific way. But I definitely, again, right, it's like having an army of interns,
It is. It is.
and
Yeah.
and if you use interns well, they're huge value multiple. Now, if I could just get the AI to bring me a coffee, but
It'll
because
happen.
I could use one. We're not that far away, but get fired up.
Let's talk about the facility, because I saw some pictures on LinkedIn. Man, I mean, wow! It was a empty shell like not too long ago,
Couple months,
and
couple months ago.
you guys are moving. Yeah.
Yeah. Like at the speed of crazy is what I would call it. Sort of what we're trying to do is full speed, everything all at once. Team there's doing a great job. We've now gotten stator wound, so we're still on track to get first motors done this month. They're probably going to be terrible. I mean, I've always said that we'll have to go in and do QC and improve our processes and all that sort of stuff. And if you anticipate it working perfectly out of the gate when you're going this fast, you probably should question how you set your timelines and why. But it's coming along unreasonably fast. And I'm a person who already perpetually, like, we joke internally that we're all running on startup time. So like Drew, our COO, and I will be like, oh yeah, why isn't that done yet? And then we go look at our email history and we'll be like, well, we reached out to the vendor 2 days ago. And we both be like, well, it feels like a couple weeks, So we're in that headspace of I'd say enthusiastic urgency for everything we're doing, because again, tallest tree, can't let off on that. And the motor stuff's coming along even faster than we expected on that.
So, do you think that some of the shareholders expected that you would have some bigger contracts at this particular point in time than what you have? I mean, how do you feel about how the landscape is starting to lay out?
I expected to have bigger contracts at this time than we do. And so I hope our shareholders do, but at least one shareholder did. Doge, the continuing resolution, everything has created some hesitancy and now around what are new procurement models in the government, right? Like everybody who had a job in the government went through Doge, was terrified if they bought stuff that they'd lose their jobs. And now they're being told immediately after, go buy stuff in brand new ways and sign for checks that are way bigger than anything you've ever signed before outside of program or record. So that massive whiplash to the procurement teams inside the government is creating a little buy hesitancy. So we've seen a few contracts come through. We're definitely going to see more come through. Like we're aware of a whole bunch of stuff. And once that hesitancy gets unwrapped, like the first people place some orders and don't get fired, then you'll see the floodgates open. But they're about 2 weeks behind where I expected. So, but it's still all coming. Like the end of the year, new year chunk, that's sort of the drone swing is definitely going to happen. There's just this really interesting sort of human problem that when you stop and think about it is totally understandable. That's created a little bit of hesitancy in the whole chain.
What do you think of all the geopolitical stuff that's going on? I mean, it is an uncertain time. Wall Street hates uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty out there right now, right?
I mean, I don't know how much Wall Street hates it. We're like all-time highs.
I know it's funny. It is funny, isn't it? Right? I mean, it's not. Maybe it's not as uncertain as everybody thinks it is. Maybe that's the key to take away from that.
I think maybe. I think uncertainty is opportunity. Yeah, I mean, it's, the old joke is you don't get promoted up the chain in the military except for during wartime. Right? Like, okay, that all makes sense. So when you stop and think about it, our opportunity comes in this uncertainty. Like the people coming to join us wouldn't join us if everything was certain. They'd go to the big winners. And, there's not, maybe the tariffs are opening up the door for us to be domestic, but the uncertainty around tariffs are stopping everyone from making the same decisions. So I think uncertainty is where leadership, and in my case, luck, but leadership through decision making can create more of an asymmetric advantage, right? Like leadership and certainty is easy. Leadership and uncertainty requires decisiveness, requires a little more vision, and like if you get lucky, you can create, I think, a higher differentiation that way. So, everybody always jokes that I have horseshoes buried somewhere deep. And in this case, I'm glad they're still on, working for me.
You know what? I think you just made a very valid point, right? A lot of it's easier to make a decision when things are clear, right? Because you have a real clear picture. It's much harder to make a decision when things aren't clear and you're going with your gut instinct and other things that make you feel. It's the guys that can make the decisions quickly and move on it, right?
100%. And there's a second thing here that I think a lot of people overlook. It's not only that the decision needs to be made quickly, the reasons for the decision need to be communicated effectively, and everyone needs to buy into the decision. And so a lot of people can make the decision, a lot of people can pick the strategy, but it falls apart if you don't get buy-in from everyone going after it. And I would say, like, again, a lot of credit to my employees in that they trust me, and they buy in and they'll go full speed in a way that, and they have historically in ways where even sometimes they might be like, I don't see what you see, but all right, we're all going to row the same way. So, I look at it like we got an okay rowboat, but everybody's got, like, everybody on their oars in sync and in time. And so we're ripping. And it's not the quality of anybody sitting at one oar. It's not the quality of the boat. It's not the size of the team. It's that cohesiveness and that faith and that sort of complete buy-in that has let us really continue to go this fast. So
when we talked last time, I asked you about how many people, because you were in hiring mode, right? And I think you said somewhere around 40 people or so. Is how many people do you have now?
we were 19 at the end of June. We're at 42 now. And
Wow.
we're still scaling. Like, this is the moment. This is the go moment.
Right.
And
But from
it's
what I'm
go.
hearing from you, the quality of because I've heard a lot of companies saying, "Oh, I can't find people." I'm not hearing that from you.
Oh man, we've had the luxury, the real gift of being able to reject people with insane resumes that come in and just don't match the vibes. Because there's so many other good candidates for that position. We can sit around and be like, the vibes were off. Yeah, okay, next. I mean, so that lets us really select for people that have the same belief system, the same attitudes, the same everything, while being just off the charts people and like off the charts experience of folks coming out of the industry. And I mean, again, that's just part of the snowball advantage, right? Like, it's all an avalanche and the snowball started to roll. And if you got a snowball rolling, it accumulates and accumulates and accumulates and it builds on itself. And we really, really feel like the snowball's starting to roll. And I just don't know how else to explain it. It's very hard to convey that if you're not inside of it every day. But I mean, it's happening. It's pretty exciting.
When you've got a team that's just hitting on all cylinders and they're just everybody's got each other's back and it's just The eye is on the goal. It's on the butt. We know where we're going. We know what we're doing, and that is number one important, right?
And we are locked into that right now. So, I mean, like that helps me do my job. I was in California last week, take a flight on Sunday to New York to go meet with investors, stay here and chat with you and through everyone out there. Hi, everyone. Wearing a monkey suit. Like, how many times have we done this? Do you think I like combing my hair? And,
No baseball hat. I mean, what the hell, man? You even look like you got a little trim there.
I know. The danger is the gray comes through. So I like to tell people I sparkle now. There's veins of silver. I'm shiny.
That's your wisdom.
I'm sure. Yeah. Dude, don't tell that to my wife. She'll disagree. She'll disagree.
All right. What else do you? I know you got to make your first appointment there at HC.
That's about another 10 minutes for everybody out there.
All right. What else you want to hit? What do you think I've missed?
No, I mean, I think you understand this pretty well. I think you asked a lot of the same questions I'm going to get here today. So in that way, for everybody out there, like you're not behind the institutional investors, you've got the same information. I really do think we're still, what I'll tell everybody is it feels like there's probably a reasonable low risk, high reward swing trade here. In that if the government money is a little bit late and we're still at a price we did the last raise at, if it hits, my guess is drone euphoria would cause a lot of positivity. If it misses, we have $90 million in the bank and still have quarter over quarter best revenue all time. So, I think when you look at it, there's a really good, not just a super long moment, but maybe shorter term investment moment. So kind of a double opportunity in terms of what I see as risk reward in the segment. I think a lot of people think we only supply for Red Cat. I would say we have four large
I think that's becoming
institutional. Yeah, we have four large institutional customers. So our dependency there, our partnership there is great. Like obviously Jeff's still on our board. That's awesome. But we are now pretty diversified in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's just important to emphasize is that it's been really surprising as the value segment, especially as motors come online. There's not a lot of competition at our price in the US in our segment. And so we have a lot of customers that are really, keep coming back to us because of it. We've done a good job of guessing 18 months ago, starting a process and now having availability of parts where no one else made the same guess. So that's starting to become pretty neat where you're like, oh yeah, everybody's calling you up asking for the same stuff to go bid into the same thing. Like when you get quotes for like 9,700 cameras from 4 different vendors, the vendors that are going to bid on different, who's bidding on what projects, and so you could, that's where I feel so confident is not that I know about any orders or anything, but like we know what we've quoted. Yeah. And we know who's competing. So, in that way I can be like, oh yeah, okay. I don't even need to know the name of the program. I can just be like, these quantities are all the same. And,
is that a coincidence? I don't think it is.
So that's part of what feels really good though, is that we're one of the vendors being quoted by everybody for a lot of these things. So that there's just not that many suppliers. And so we have a really good chance of capturing a fair bit of that business. I'd say that's part of the confidence boost.
Is there any, besides the motors, are there any parts that are really kind of standing out to you as things that you?
So one of the big ones is we had enough push demand for us to start to build headsets in the US. Okay. So we hired Tim out of Google and we're going to start to build headsets, do final assembly and then build headsets in the US. And that's just because a lot of our customers came to us and said, we'll buy headsets now. Please build them in the US. And so that we're going to build out another facility to do that. And that is 100% from customers buying our stuff and then pushing us to onshore it faster. So that to me is exciting when you're in a place where your customers are now really helping you with your roadmap, right?
Yeah.
Like that one I could go ask the intern and he'd be like, you should do that. I'd be like, thank you, intern. Like that's one of those no-brainer strategy decisions that you just go do. Uh, and the AI got that one right. No edits necessary. It was a good talk, really. I
Yeah,
had with it.
really good talk.
Yeah, it was short, but it was powerful. So we're doing that. And if you look back in the heyday of Fat Shark before, because I was the CEO there years ago, before DJI came on the market, even consumer, we were doing more than $10 million a year in headsets. So I think if DJI gets the FCC ban a few years out, there's a pretty good business unit there for headsets, not even for defense customers, but just for the consumer market.
So
And so that that's kind of stuff.
I got to ask you on the headsets for the displays. Oh, yeah, I already know the answer to this question. I already know the answer to this question because you asked me when you and I really kind of first met if I knew this one individual, and I did, and I hooked you up. Everybody else is lost right now, but that's okay. Tune into my channel another time and I'll give you some. No, there's another company out there that I'm hoping you're working with, and I think you are, but I don't want to say it right now. I don't want to say it out loud. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. See if,
Yeah, we'll see more. We'll see more when production's all the way up, right? And,
yeah, yeah,
we'll let the guy who's doing it make the decisions. I'm
yeah.
not going to sit there and put my finger in the pie.
I know. You guys are
It's so
probably so
hard too.
early on it that nothing's decided yet. I'm sure.
Nothing's decided yet. And
Yeah.
we brought in the guy who built out Magic Leap's production facility, and that was at Google. Like,
Okay.
even though I've built headsets, it would be extremely irresponsible for me to tell him how to do his job. Like,
Right.
I'm pretty good at headsets. I'm probably even great at headsets. Like like obviously I'm not that
I'm
humble,
probably even
but
great at them.
I'm probably great at it. It's one of the things I'd say, a lot of experience.
Yeah.
This guy's better, and it's his job. So no, that was one of the things where you're like, all right, we're going
There's
to bring
only
in to
so many
do
guys
this.
that make OLED displays in the US, right?
There's in the US, if you want to go all US, yeah, there's
Yeah.
only a very few. And then even if you look just outside of China, there's only a couple more. And so, depending on cost, performance, customer demand, you get those trade-off matrices. And we're gonna let our guy coming in figure it out. I'll
Right.
stay out of
Yep.
his way.
Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. I like to see good companies where I think you got good leadership that are US based. I like to see those guys, smart guys work together. You know what I mean? It just strengthens the whole thing. I just love that whole.
Agree, and we're obviously collaborative. We're collaborative with companies that we're willing to help work with Ondas and some others to you know help drive attention to companies we think might not be getting enough attention, while at the same time making a whole lot of money off investing in a good company.
Right.
Right, like on that
Right.
first
Right.
investment, I think we're at like a double right now, unrealized gain. And you're like, yeah, I mean, because we see everything. You're like, great, I can pick the no-brainers. Like
Yeah.
that's all Eric's doing. He's the first mover. Like he just gets to go in and pick the most obvious ones. So I'm just like, Eric, call me. Call me, buddy.
It's such a no brainer because I mean when I learned Eric's background, I just knew this is a guy that gets it. I mean he knows this is his wheelhouse, right?
Yeah. So if he's gonna get to go pick from in the whole landscape where no one's doing it yet, like doesn't he get to pick the best ones? And so like, and what do I want to fight with him over a deal? He'll win every time. He's good. I'd rather just be like, what terms did you negotiate? Those sound like good terms. Can I put in some money too? You know? And he's like, yeah, all right, thanks.
Yeah, I love what you're doing, man. I really do, and it's not you just pull a rabbit out of a hat because I didn't expect that. That was out of left field for me. But I thought, man, this is awesome to see.
Give me a second. I'm gonna have to go. I'm being asked to move around here now.
All right, Alan. Look, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, man.
Thanks, sir. Have a good one.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had Allan Evans from UMAC, Unusual Machines. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.